Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to a special edition of the Coast to Coast NBA podcast. If you're waking up with us, if you are clicking this podcast, if you are clicking play, you are just as shocked as we are for the reason that we're here. We are here for a discussion of the Luka Doncic trade to the Los Angeles Lakers, something I never thought I would say. I sitting here in shock, and we're not here to talk about no, we're not here to talk about tariffs. We're not here to talk about planes crashing, the world ending as we know it. We're not here to talk about the De'Aaron Fox trade. We are talking about the Dallas Mavericks trading Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers. Ronan, I don't do the intro very often. I like to do this one because I just needed to get the shocking off my chest. I couldn't have you click record without me just opening my mouth. How are you feeling this morning? Where do we start with this? I'm going insane here, just like thinking about what just happened. I could barely sleep last night.
Oh man, I was so amped up. I was like seeing that go down. I was like, oh yeah, there's no way much sleep has happened tonight. All the thoughts just racing around my mind, everything that's going on. Luka Doncic is a Laker. Anthony Davis is now a Dallas Maverick. I mean, like, what the hell? What have we just seen? This is without doubt the craziest trade in NBA history. I
The,
don't think
the,
there's any debate.
it's insane. It's almost like it's some sort of psyop, man. That's like there's so much world news going on right now. There's so much world news going on right now, and that's why we love basketball. It helps us to keep our mind off things. But even my wife and people who are non-basketball friends are like asking me about. They're like, what is this Luka Doncic? And I'm trying to explain it to my wife. She does not watch basketball with me really, and I'm like, and I don't know if this is a good comparison, Run, and help me find a better one to explain to her. I'm like, imagine if like Beyonce got traded to, I don't know, K-pop. I don't have any good, but literally the one of the up and come not up and coming, but Luca is was in line to kind of be the heir of the next era. Yes, we had some questions about like, how he was gonna continue to improve and really be deserving of that title the way that LeBron has been for this era that we've been in for the last 2 decades. But he was the closest thing to that. And the Dallas Mavericks traded him to the Lakers. And the implications of this in terms of like, we'll get into that of the Lakers being the team that he went to. It's just it's insane. I think we're all shell shocked. Um, let's just start with the questions about the Mavs.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is all
for
gonna be
sure.
theories. I mean, but let's just start with what we know. What do we know? We know that immediately after the trade, comments made to the media were that they had concerns about Luka's conditioning, his health, and ultimately the belief that defense wins championships. Real way to kick Luka on his way out. And that tells me two things. One, the literal words that were said. And two, that relationship had broken down to some degree. And let me throw in an ancillary piece of fake news. I don't believe this, by the way. I saw that people are saying that Luka had reached to 270 pounds
Yeah.
in this little break. I don't believe it. This is from non-real sources, but I mean, perhaps that was kind of a real thought is his lack of conditioning and where we're gonna go in this offseason. But what do we make of that?
I get it. I think that's a question. I brought it up in the pod. I think early on this season, I brought up the question of his conditioning and the fact that I knew
Yeah.
he needed to make that switch to really become truly elite.
Yeah.
And I also made the comparison to one Nikola Jokic, who really didn't
Hmm.
get into the elite shape he is in now until he was about 26 or 27 as well, which Luka is only just approaching. I think he's only turning 26 next week or the week after. He's still only 25 years old. He's still only entering his prime years. So it's a big swing, but I would just you just have to wonder how like obvious and in their face was like the neglect of his conditioning, of his commitment to his body in front of the Dallas Mavericks staff. Because
Yeah.
that's not mince words. Dallas Mavericks, they know better than anyone
Yeah.
what his habits were, what his commitment was to his body. Like they know it better than anyone, and they've obviously seen it be pretty detrimental the way he carries himself. off the court. I think on the court, yeah, you're like, yeah, he's amazing, he's great, but they're seeing everything, and clearly, he made it pretty clear that he was showing all the signs of a guy that was never gonna fully commit to being that elite guy, both on and off the court, which you have to be in order to really be amazing.
It's it's insane that I just want to talk about the fact that there is no news to this. This is the first time. Not only
Mhm.
is this probably the highest caliber of talent traded, I think potentially in NBA history in this fashion at least. I have not been able to think of one overnight. Maybe someone's going to think of something as stories are written, and there's just to be so much news to be digested over this. But I cannot think of a bigger star traded, at least in this way. Any of the stars that have been traded, we've known about it for weeks. We've known about it for months. We've known about it for a whole season because they pushed their weight out. I don't, I can't even think of a sport in which there was a franchise star, a top five, top 10 player, MVP candidate on multiple years, probably foreseeably for the future, that is traded like this. This has like in the sports world, I can't think of it like that. And I believe in the Mavs as an organization. And I think you're right. Like they don't leak stuff. They do really right by their players. And for them to do this to their franchise player, their who would have been their best player of all time, probably was already like their best player of all time.
Don't
Dirk,
don't
yeah,
don't do
sure.
Dirk like that.
Yes.
Come on.
I'm not gonna do it, but like he was going to be the best player of the Mavs organization. He was already pretty much there. Like top, if you look through his stats in playoffs, like top 10 in triple doubles, top 10 um in three pointers made in a game, I want to say, and just top 10 in so many different stats already in his short tenure in his young career. That is also the shock factor. This that the Mavs did that, and I think the fact that it was that shocking for an organization who's that good. I mean, dude, they blew it up before the Kings blew it up. They blew it up before the Chicago Bulls blew it up. And you know who else they blew it up before? They blew it up for the Atlanta Hawks. Somehow the Atlanta Hawks keep jumping into these trade talks, and they haven't done a darn thing, and they probably won't. But they're connected. The Trae Young Luka Doncic trade has always been a piece of conversation around Trae Young, Luka Doncic, and that infamous draft class. And man, how funny is it that we're sitting here talking about Luka being gone from the Mavs, and we're not even talking about where the Hawks are at. And are they vindicated? Maybe they saw they had a crystal ball. They knew that things
Yeah,
were not going
man.
to work out in the
Maybe.
future like that.
Maybe the Hawks won this trade after all. Who knows? This kind of what it feels like right now. I mean, if Luka Doncic, I'm going to say right now, like if Luka Doncic is truly the guy, this has to be all the motivation he needs to get into elite shape and go and dominate the next 10 years of NBA basketball. Like if he is that guy, if he has that within him, what more motivation could you possibly need? In everyone's mind, you are the next great player in this league, and the Dallas Mavericks just traded you because they don't believe that you are. Like if that winner, if that legendary player is inside Luka Doncic, if it doesn't come out now, it was never there.
Hmm. Listen, I think we wanted to talk about Mavs first, but I need to touch on that because that's something I thought about in two parts of that. So obviously Mavs frustrated with where Luka's going to be, and they don't believe in his future. That's why he's gone. So where does Luka go with his future? He's going to the Lakers, and I think the Lakers just the fact that the Lakers get whatever they want. Let me just get that off my chest. That was the first thing I wanted to get off my chest, and I wasn't able to. The Lakers get whatever they want. That like it was year zero in Luka's career where people were already putting him in Lakers jerseys on Twitter. We don't have to get any new edits because they're already there. They've been there for years. And somehow with nothing they get him. I think that's the most frustrating part. Okay, it's off my chest. Whatever. Great thing for Luka. Like once the dust settles, once he recovers emotionally from this, because this has to be such. I mean, we're shocked
Yeah.
here. That is his home. Like he was very committed to that team. There's never any question of him leaving. Never. he goes to a team with the guy who's gonna pass the torch to somebody. Is it him? But I mean, LeBron James is not retired yet. It's one of those things. Until LeBron officially leaves, this is still his league. He gets to be tutored by LeBron, and not on the court stuff. I care about how he's going to be taught about the process.
Mhm.
And I think knowing the kind of guy that LeBron has shown himself to be, I think he's going to take it as his personal responsibility to make sure that Luka does that.
Mhm.
Whether that works or not, sure. But who is like you look around the league, and I think this is kind of a question we've had here and there about Luka is how can you surround a player who's already so great, who's also not just a kid. Like he came into the league as a man. Like he's been playing professional basketball for years. Like who's gonna tell him how to have a better process? Like, buddy, I'm an MVP candidate. I've been playing this for years, and this is my team. Like who's gonna tell him that? Who else but LeBron James? Like truly, like
Yeah.
who else in the league but LeBron James himself? Also, who better to keep him accountable and to grow alongside him as a head coach than JJ Redick, a player that Luka reveres, has played with, does podcasts interviews with, like has a relationship off the court already with. Those two factors are such great intangible variables for me to think about Luka, having hope for Luka to make those changes that we want to see. And doesn't that have to be a little bit even more sickening for a Mavs fan, for an NBA fan who wanted to see Luka be good in Dallas, for Dallas to be so fed up with how he was developing as a player, as a leader of the team, that they trade him to the evil empire who has this whole setup for him to actually be the player he's supposed to be? Doesn't that make this worse? Like,
Yeah, I mean, there this move is only got two ways of going. Either it's a genius move from Dallas, Luka never fulfills his potential, or it's a completely insane move. Those are the only two options. There's no in between with it. Uh, if like, don't get me wrong, I think it's a win for Dallas so long as Luka doesn't lead LA or another team to a title. Even if the Mavs don't win one themselves with AD, I think the Mavs can call it a win if he because that means he's never got in the proper shape. He's never reached his full potential, and then it was the right call for them to part ways and give themselves a shot with a different squad and a different formula. But there really is no in between with this move. This is either greatest move of all time or worst move of all time. That's the way it looks like right now.
no, 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 no. I don't even think there's any in between. I think I will allow the caveat and the asterisk to the Dallas Mavericks that again, I give them faith as an organization from what they've done over the years. I do. I don't think they're one of these bad organizations that make rash moves, but this feels like this is going to be the worst move of all time.
Yeah, the
This is
potential is
going
the
to be the
potential is
worst move
absolutely
of
there.
all
Yeah,
time. Of all time. The Celtics had like we haven't talked about the Nets trade, the KG Paul Pierce trade that the Brooklyn Nets did when the Celtics fleeced them. That has been widely heralded as one of the worst trades of all time, if not the worst.
this could take
I
over.
this is like, and I don't blame the Mavs if things really got that bad, and you have to respect an organization to some degree to really stick to their guns that if they really are committed to this group, to Jason Kidd and the guys on this roster who made it to a finals last year, yes, with Luka Doncic, but if you believe in Kyrie, if you believe in defense, if that is your identity as an organization and Luka has disrespected that behind the scenes to a large enough degree to trade your best player, one of the best players of all time, then you do it. But this is going to be catastrophic. And unless you view it with that asterisk, this is going to be a catastrophic trade.
Yeah, but I mean, we can't just ignore the fact that they've got Anthony Davis in return. Let's
I'm
not
going.
forget how great a player Anthony Davis is.
No, yes, yes. Like I think it's very unfair that people are saying like, oh, you just traded Luka Doncic
For one
for a
pick.
bag of
Yeah,
chips, a
yeah,
pick,
like
and a
no, no, no.
31-year-old. That's not fair to Anthony
You
Davis.
traded him for a guy who has been worth three first round picks in the past and three young players in the past. He was one of the biggest trade assets ever when he was on the Pelicans. And the most exciting thing about it all is let's remember the two times in his career that he's consistently played alongside a legit number five.
Yes,
First
yes,
time
thank you.
was with DeMarcus Cousins. Let's see, top three MVP, top three Defensive Player of the Year, All Star, All NBA first team. Then he goes to the Lakers and does it. He wins a title. He is top six MVP, top two Defensive Player of the Year, All Star, All NBA first team. Anthony Davis is going to thrive playing on this Mavericks team, and they still have a championship winning starting five. I absolutely believe that. The odd makers don't. I don't know how. Apparently, the Lakers odds have shrunk and the Mavs odds have gone way out, even though the Mavs are in a much better position now than the Lakers were after this trade. I know the Lakers for the future are better, but right now,
Yeah,
this is the move for the Mavericks right now, going all in a sense.
yeah, I'm betting against the Lakers for many reasons, but let's shift. Let's talk about the Mavs then. And that was a huge point of this, that Anthony Davis being on the Mavs is going to be lost in all this because of the shock of Luka Doncic being traded. But like you said, like he's been, I mean, he's been kind of publicly whining about uh, needing a five and then not feeling like he's been getting support from the Lakers organization to do that. And it seems like the Lakers were pretty pissed about that.
Yeah,
And I mean, just for shock and all, like Anthony Davis himself, the fact that LeBron James had no idea, Davis had no idea. Obviously, this all happened in the dark, and he was in the dark. Like that, that's got to be such a shock. I mean, he was supposed to be the guy that was going to be the next star in Los Angeles, but
yeah,
him next to two fives, like he's never had a front court this good ever.
yeah. Very
Eric
few have.
Lively and Daniel Gafford are two of the best high octane rim running, rim protecting, vertical threats. And I think there's going to be a transition period. I mean, we can get into that if we want to, because I think that the Dallas Mavericks offense has to change on such an order of magnitude. Like I don't even have the stat in front of me, but if I were to bet, I'm pretty sure Luca's. I'll pull this up, but Luca's usage this year had to be 36%, 35%. He's
Yeah, it was
always the
definitely
highest usage.
insanely high. Guess
But we know that
it'll help the transition that he's been out for so long, you know.
no, this is true. And there's going to be a lot more as a team that they can figure to do. You can get some playmaking from the elbow from Anthony Davis, and just how do you work in the two bigs alongside each other? It's going to be a lot different from what they're used to. But we know that Anthony Davis has had great success next to great fives, and he's got a full front court to do that. And the Dallas Mavericks, I think, without a doubt, can say that they have the best front court in the NBA. They have the best front
Yeah,
court in the NBA. They'll be one of the best rebounding teams in the NBA. They'll be one of the best interior defenses in the NBA. They'll be one of the best defenses, period, by addition from subtraction of Luka Doncic in the NBA. They did everything that they said they wanted to do. They're very clear. With defense, we believe defense wins championships. And we just went out and completed our defense. And we got rid of our worst defender. And they did that. So, I mean, defensively, I think they have a shot to do what they say they're going to do. They've been approaching top 10 in defense this year, which has been surprising me after what we talked about in the offseason. But let's talk about Kyrie, too. I mean, dude's on a track to be 50, 40, 90. It's having one of his most efficient years. He's had some crazy moments, and he's really showed that he's still one of the best creators in this league. And I'm not understanding, some people saying like questioning the belief in the Mavericks organization to handing the keys in a way to Kyrie to the offense. I think that this is such an opportunity for these two guys to show who they are again, to remind people who they are. I think this new generation has definitely made us forget a little bit about Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving. And this is a chance for them to do it themselves. they've had this kind of funny, right? Because LeBron's getting his new running mate, and his two old running mates are sent off to Dallas and looked at as the undesirables, the leftovers of the next replacement of LeBron James. What fuel is that? Talk about fuel that Luka is going to have going to the Lakers being cast out. What fuel is it going to be for them to win the West?
Oh yeah, like this is they're gonna be great together. I'll really really look forward to watching the two of them ball out together. I mean, I've always said like in my mind, I know everyone goes to Dwayne Wade, but like I think in my mind, Kyrie was LeBron's best running mate, and AD
Mm.
might be the next one up after that. The way the balance they had and the way that they played and the talent that they both have as individuals, putting that together. I mean, people get too caught up in what's gone on with Kyrie, with the Nets and COVID, and they forget what an unbelievably talented player he is. He is one of the most naturally talented basketball players you will watch. He is one of the like the easiest and like nicest players to watch in basketball. He is just so smooth. He can create, he can score. Yeah, he's got obviously a little bit weak on the defensive side, but that doesn't matter when you've got PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford. Like he has the cover there. Pair that with a guy like AD who's just can be just absolute demon scorer. He's gonna have a little bit more energy, I think, offensively now that he's not the entire defense
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
team. We are going to see the very best of Anthony Davis again, like we saw when he first got traded to the Lakers. We are going to that Anthony Davis is still there. I fully believe that. I've been crying out for him, just like AD has, for them to get a legit five to play alongside him since they gave up on the JaVale McGee Dwight Howard combo. They haven't done it. Now he's back in that situation, and I expect him to do great things. This Mavericks team are still a championship level team. I know they've lost Luka Doncic, the guy who was the heartbeat of what brought them to the finals last year, but they've gone a different way. But it's not right now. You can't really say it's any better or worse. They've just kind of gone a different way. This, in my mind, this is still a team that arguably are the next team up after the OKC Thunder in the West.
Mm. We'll get there. We'll get there. I let's that maybe that'll be a discussion for another day. I'm not ready to put it that far, but I that's a good question. Do we think that their defensive improvement and how good their front court just got, and expecting that giving Kyrie a bigger workload, he can continue to do better things with, does that make them have better chances than without Luka this year? We know what the Mavs front office thinks. They say yes. Do we agree with that assessment?
Mm. Don't want to overreact. I'm tempted to lean and say yes, but yeah, I guess this is a slight idea about that like kind of secondary creator within like the starting lineup. Like if that go and be like Spencer Dinwiddie, like see the next guy up there, and then you're kind of like, I don't know, I don't know about that, but yeah, I mean, let's see what AD can do as a bit more of a primary. That's been something that the Lakers have kind of tried to lean into more and more, and it's work to an extent, but not work to maybe the level we want it to work to. So it's going to be interesting to see how that, like you said, it's going to be interesting to see. There's going to be some growing pains. It's going to be interesting to see how quickly it starts to come together. Obviously, they've got a few months now before playoff time, so they've got time to figure it out. I think Davis is due back. I think if it hopefully it's going to be next week or the week after. I don't think there's too much worry about the current injury that he has. So we're going to get to see the lineup quick enough. But yeah, I mean, won't overreact. Don't get too into it. I guess maybe see it before we really dive into they're legit title contenders. But we were calling them title contenders before with Luka Doncic
Yeah.
injured and not knowing when he was going to come back. So I don't think we can say they're not title contenders now.
Yeah, I think it'll be a different path to the finals. And I think that their assessment is true. With defense, we know wins championships. We know that, it's rare to see a team outside of the top 10 in defensive rating make it there. Obviously, net rating is more important if their offense sinks and they really can't keep things up without Luka's offense because they have not had to do that aside from the stretch of games. Um, but it's going to be huge adjustment, huge opportunity for other guys on this team and for Jason Kidd as a whole as well. Jason Kidd was brought there to bring up this Luka Doncic team, and there wasn't a whole lot of like play calling necessary to a degree. Luka is an offense. Luka pick and roll, spread pick and roll, like that is offense. And we get to see what Jason Kidd can do with, you know, a totally different roster, a totally different approach. Because you can do that with Kyrie to a degree, but now that you're running two big lineups, you're going to be having 80 as a focal point. You can't just be having, um, diving to the rim for the 2 5s and just running spread pick and roll. That's not there's no one else who's going to be able to do it to the degree that Luka does. So it'd be really interesting to watch that and watch how Jason Kidd adjusts to this and to show us what he's got from the coaching perspective. And you brought up the fact that the Lakers, that their odds got better to win a championship. And I also can't understand that when, I mean, you got rid of the last pillar of what could have been a championship defense, and you replaced it with the guy that the Dallas Mavericks just got off of because he couldn't play defense. The delta is going to be insane. Like the defensive fall off from already being decently bad is going to be terrible. Like they will not have a tenable defense to be like moderately competitive in a play-in or a playoff scenario. And I stand by that. I don't think that's a hot take. I just don't. I don't think that they even have a semblance of a playoff defense at this point.
No, not even close. We all know. Like Anthony Davis was their entire defense. Like especially like maybe in the regular season, they can kind of get by against certain teams. And obviously, they made the Knicks look pretty bad last night. But in general, no. And like, don't get me wrong, the odds have changed to get in all the suckers, all the people that have no idea about basketball and see, oh, this amazing player just got traded to the Lakers. Okay, I better back them to win the championship now. That was
Yeah,
the reason that was the reason
yeah,
that the odds dropped.
yes, that's true.
The
That's true.
bookies always win, and we're seeing it in that situation. But I think I'd be more inclined to bet on the Mavericks now. The fact that their odds have slipped so much, if I was a betting man, I'd be backing the Mavericks far quicker. I'd be throwing $100 on the Mavericks quicker than I'd be throwing $10 on the Lakers.
So
But
I think none of this has to do with short term then. Truly, I mean the Mavericks call up the Lakers, and you don't think about, well, I don't know if we're going to win a championship this year with that. No, you just do it. You just do it. You do it immediately. Um, and I wonder the process for the Mavs. Given that this happened so quickly, I think that let's just go back. Can we go back to the trade a little bit and think about the trade decision making? Because this is something that I haven't been able to process.
yeah,
The Lakers don't have to bid against anyone. They get a call and they get to make this trade, and we're talking about it now. But any number of teams, we could be talking about any number of teams who could be taking on Luka Doncic. Was there a better
who
available?
who can give them Anthony Davis? That's the part you have to remember.
Who can?
They weren't wanting to blow it up. They were just wanting to go in a different direction. I think that's the element you have to think about like that. This is not a blow it up sort of move from them. This is, we have an insanely talented player that could be the guy. We don't believe he is. So let's move him now for another guy who we have seen be the guy and still has a couple of good years left in him. That was in my mind. That's what I've come to understand. That was the Mavericks thinking. If you look around the league, where could they have got a guy who's going to slot in and be a guy who can be potentially a Finals MVP alongside on that team? That's what I'm taking away from it. I haven't really come up with another option really in my own head. Maybe you can, but I look at it that way. And also, again, we just say, like I keep on saying, teams built around two guards do not work. And this is just another example of that. But back to your point.
You need that tatted on you. That always comes up. Always comes up. I would say I'm just I mean just thinking about this now. Like, who has a ton? Would I rather have Anthony Davis right now? And I didn't even want to bring this up because it's always unfair to just throw the injury card around. But it's very true with Kyrie Irving and especially with Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis has been a bit more healthy for the last couple of years. Credit to him than he has been in the more recent past. But putting all my hope in those two guys for one season is still a risk. It's still a risk. And Anthony Davis,
3 seasons.
sure. Yes. That's
I,
fair.
I,
That's
I'm
fair.
looking
That's
at it. It's
fair.
like in
That's
my
fair.
mind, this like his title window is like the length of Clay's contract. Not to say Clay is going to keep performing up until the end of his contract, but they gave Clay a 3-year deal. So like in my mind, like that's like the extent of this title window for this team.
Yeah. No, that's fair. But just thinking about the other options they have, who else is on the market? I mean, Houston's on the market. We know that the Kings are on the market. We know that the Jazz are on the market. We know that um I mean there's so many other teams with picks that are out there. And do I want to have an option to have a longer rebuild? Or do I want to just send it all right now, shorten my window to 3 years, only get one pick out of it, and hope that it works out?
The position that they're in, if you're in a position that it's obviously most of the time when we see this situation, like look back to when Davis left the Pelicans, they were basically in a position where once Anthony Davis goes, they're full rebuild mode. This was not the same thing. Dallas have a lot of talented players, a lot of guys who are coming towards the end of their career. Some of them still in the middle of their prime. Some one or two younger guys, like they're in a position where they can still win even without Luka Doncic. So you have to find that talent that can come in and be that final piece to make this team win the title. I mean, it's so tough, but you look at other teams like a Jazz up. I'll always, if you can get the proven piece back, if you're in a position where once you get that proven piece back, you can still be a winner. You take that proven piece instead of relying on draft picks. I will always take that proven piece as long as you're still in a position to win with him. Like if they were getting back Anthony Davis, but they were also getting rid of Kyrie and like Daniel Gafford, then it wouldn't make any sense. Then you'd be like,
Yeah.
why the hell didn't you just get a load of picks? But that's not the way they're playing it.
I don't know. I'm just thinking like what let's just make up some fake. I'm just thinking off the top of off the dome here. But like, I don't know, Orlando. Like, what if you could have gotten Franz and Black, picks, Isaac, get your defense, you get depth, you get more future oriented. I don't know. I mean, just think about some other defenders out there. Miami, could you have gotten like you've gotten Bam? I don't know. Like there could have been every single team in the NBA would have come to Dallas's door with an offer
True.
because Anthony Davis is that good, and they would have had to do better. And I think a lot of teams would have done their best to do better. Like, I mean, I can see a world in which I mean, Cleveland is so good, and this right now in this like little moment, Cleveland would be like, I would never sell Evan Mobley ever, but never. But in the offseason, things are a little different. Things are a little different. You have a chance to get off of the emotions of whatever 10-game winning streak you have, great record you have in the middle of the season. A lot of things change in the offseason. A lot of teams are a little more open for business. Like could the Evan Mobleys of the world have been available to the Dallas Mavericks? Anthony Davis is a very short window gamble with a 2029 pick. Sure. But I have to think that there was gonna be a better offer out there. Unless you think Anthony Davis was it, that that and you feel very confident. I mean, I feel good, but I don't
That
feel
seems to
sure.
be the way that Dallas felt about it. Because
Yeah.
we got to remember, maybe we'll hear different things moving forward, but for right now, what we're hearing is this move was totally and completely orchestrated by Dallas.
Yeah.
This had
Yes.
nothing to do
Yes.
with Luka Doncic asking out. This was not the Lakers coming and calling them. They clearly pinpointed Anthony Davis as the guy that they wanted. They wanted to make a move for Anthony Davis. They believe in what Kyrie is doing as the point guard, as the playmaker, as the elite scorer on this team. And they said, right, let's pair him with one of the best defensive players in the NBA, who is also a legit 25 point per game scorer, and let's just bank on defense. Defense
Yeah.
for a large part. I know Luka was a big part of it, but the change in their defense last year
Yes.
when they got PJ and Gafford was a huge part of what led them to where they were going to be. And you can make the argument now that bringing in AD, that's going to make that defense even better. It's just can the offense remain kind of top 10 level? How much they obviously didn't put too much stock in Kyrie's struggles in the NBA finals last year. That's obviously something that they've been able to forget and believe that that's not going to happen again. So I
Mhm.
mean, it's don't get me wrong, risk for sure. Instant reaction, totally fully believe that the Lakers are going to come out as the winners of this trade. But I can see why Dallas pinpointed AD as their guy. They're trying to maximize the window that they have right now with Kyrie, with Clay. Yeah, I know we got like Gafford still in his 20s, so is PJ, so is Lively, but Kyrie and Clay, this is like a last hurrah in a sense for those two. And that's why they've gone for a guy like Anthony Davis.
Mhm. Yeah. I think I I think I'll always be the type to be thinking like future oriented, but you don't have that luxury when you actually have to be the face of a franchise and you have to make a decision and deal with the immediate aftermath. You know, them being competitive in the playoffs will be plenty of vindication for this move. And they're already starting the PR campaign to make themselves feel better about making it. So if they had traded for a bunch of picks and got worse, obviously I can imagine that optics wise would be really untenable. Um, got it. One thing I want to do is who won the Twitter storm? What was your favorite tweet?
Yeah, one of that I did enjoy was from Rob Perez. He just said something very serious. He goes, "Of course, Danny Ainge had to be involved in a trade like this."
Yes. Like a trade that was made in the middle of the night. In the middle of the night, no one knew anything, and then just like they're behind closed doors, behind a curtain, and Danny just pokes his head and like, can I get some pics with that? My favorite one was the users at Jomi Edinarin. David Stern would have put Nico Harrison in Guantanamo Bay for making that call. Like this would never have happened. David Stern would have never have allowed this to happen. Um, I still think my favorite angles of this is the Hawks. I I have to think that they're just sitting back, them and Trae Young just having a beer and being like, yeah, we're good. We feel a little better here.
Yeah, sure. Okay. They can feel as better as they want. They're still not in a great position either,
Their house is
but
burning, but they're feeling a
but
little
it's still
better.
there.
Um,
The family's still in the house.
One interesting point to this is the financial piece that Hollinger brought up. Luka is no longer Supermax eligible.
Mhm.
He would have made $345 million. That is no longer available to
Yeah, poor guy. I think he's gonna have to sign a 3-year, 229 million deal this year with the Lakers. I
Tough.
feel
I
I
know,
feel
really
for him.
tough.
I feel
Really
for him.
tough. Yeah, 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 I know. But I mean, that's an
No,
insane
no, it
number.
is.
That's
No,
an
no, that is. It
insane
is.
number. That is an
It
insane
is.
number. Um, so all right, how do we wrap this up? I I let's think long term. Who I think the Lakers win this trade long term. We agree.
Agreed.
I think that the Lakers, a team that had no clear hope for the present, like the just this whole ever since they won a ring, the bubble ring with LeBron and AD, it's been a roller coaster of emotions. It's been constant disappointment. It's been constant ridicule, even of front office management, from the Russ experiment to everything that's followed. And now they have a future. Somehow they have Luka Doncic. I think that's the biggest takeaway of all this.
Rob Pelinka just got his street cred back in a way. I know he
You gotta
wasn't the one
hand it to
who.
him. You gotta hand it to him. It fell from
Yeah,
the
I know. It
sky
was
into
gifted
his.
to him. Don't get me wrong. It was absolutely 100% gifted to him. He is the luckiest bastard on the face of the earth. But they went from potentially having an extremely bleak present and future
Yeah,
to potentially having the future. Like with that, that's pretty impressive.
yeah, yeah. I think that's where my thoughts start and actually end. Is that what the hell? How did we let? How did the Lakers get away with this? They were supposed to get what they deserved for everything that's happened, and
Yeah.
they were supposed to deal with the consequences of mismanagement and the end of LeBron's career and have nothing to show for it. And they got Luka Doncic. I mean, we were talking about sending that 2029 trade for Cam Johnson. For Cam Johnson. And they got Luka Doncic.
Yeah, it's
They got Luka.
absolutely it's insane. This is just the power that the Lakers have, and now we're looking at it and thinking long term for them, and we're like, yeah, they kind of still don't really have assets. But one thing you got to remember is LA has and always will forever be one of the most lucrative free agent destinations that there is. That's
Tinfoil
the way
hat.
it goes. Yeah,
Tinfoil
like that.
hat.
That's
How
the
are the
way it
ratings this
goes.
year? How are the ratings? How are the ratings? Did they force the Dallas Mavericks to make this trade to make the ratings better?
Adam Silver knows how to do
Man.
business. That's all I'll say.
Any trade? Do you think they should make another trade to
I mean,
to get a
I,
center?
in my mind, like what they're doing now is they want to just they're going to communicate this with LeBron. They're like, okay, we there was nothing we could do. There was no move we could make to win a championship with you again. And I believe that is true. They're going to either go straight up to him and go, do you want us to trade you wherever you want to go so we can actually get a couple of assets?
Mm.
Or are you willing to mentor this guy and turn him into the next you over the next, what, maybe year, potentially two that LeBron has left? That's the next step here. It would not be crazy to me if we saw LeBron James traded to the Warriors. What? Traded somewhere. That would not be crazy because this is a future move. Like on paper, as great as Luka Doncic is, as great as LeBron is, as much as they probably both want to play together, there is an element in my mind thinking that this could be Russ 2.0 and it just won't work because they're just both such ball dominant players. So I mean, this is very much a future move. So Lakers going to be really interesting to watch over the next week to see if they make a move now to try and win or do they trade LeBron James? I think
Mm.
it's I think there's a possibility of that, and that never really crossed my mind for real until now.
I would definitely I would definitely hope that he stayed for because what's more important than future assets is the growth of Luka as a professional athlete. Not as a basketball player or as a basketball
Agreed.
mind, but as a professional athlete. LeBron James is the professional athlete in the world. He is that guy. He is the one to mentor him and to shape him into like I would be begging LeBron to stay. I would be promising that anything in the future. Anything.
We will play Bronny all the
I
time. We
will.
promise.
Bronny will be a starter on this team if you do not leave. You'll get to coach. You'll be part manager. I don't whatever. Just please stay and convince Luca to be who Luca is supposed to be. Um, actually, I'm on Twitter and that 270 pound thing. was reported by ESPN. The Mavs are really just God. That something we're gonna find out what's happened. We're gonna
There's
find. Yeah,
gotta be so much more to this
yeah.
story. Something as big is gonna have to come out. Like there is gotta be more. It can't just this can't just be it.
I forgot about this
There
quote,
has to be
man.
more.
I forgot about this quote. You'll remember this. I'm just seeing this now. Mark Cuban had said, I think it was last year, or the year before. If I had to choose between my wife and keeping Luke on the Mavs, catch me at my lawyer's office prepping for a divorce. Do you remember he said that?
But
I'm telling Luca
what's
banged
Cuban's
Mark
role
Cuban's
right now
wife.
though? Is he still
He,
like in charge of basketball
no,
operations?
no, he is a partial owner. Like I know he sold his majority, but
Yeah.
he's still
I feel like
he's
he's
still a
still got a. I
large
still think, yeah,
share.
I think he's like the well, like, in football terms, he's like what Tom Brady is to the Raiders right now. He's not really got much in equity, but
Yeah.
he's still somehow heavily involved.
I think he has enough equity to have some have like voting on like big decisions. If I'm not 1,000,000% sure on this, but
Yeah,
I before as a majority owner, like he had much more control.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't think obviously he'd probably be the guy being like no. Um, well, yeah, we got the trade, not the one that we thought. Um,
We've just got the biggest trade ever. We thought it
yeah,
was gonna we were on here on Thursday talking about potential trades for De'Aaron Fox and ultimately being like nothing's gonna happen and it's gonna be a boring trade deadline. And then this bomb drops
yeah.
on Saturday. The
No,
ultimate
literally.
and what appears to be the ultimate, like in the shadows trade that we have ever
Yeah,
seen. Because apparently LeBron had no idea, Luka had no idea, AD had no idea. No one apparently knew. And like you hear guys like Brian Windhorst and other guys hopping on to like
nobody knew.
Sports Center and stuff, and they're like every executive, like every coach, every player is hitting me up being like, what the hell is going on? They are all
Yeah.
in complete and total shock and dismay. It is just a mind-boggling moment, and it's gonna take a lot of time for us all to get used to it.
I think that we've seen in the past that big surprising trades have trades that follow. And I
Hmm.
wonder if a lot of that has to do with, people are hesitant to make a move, not knowing what the market, like, if no one's making any moves, it's hard to be the first team to make a move. You don't know what the market value is and who's really willing to do stuff. And I think that just general vibe, like a fog almost gets lifted when a big domino falls. And this was like this wasn't a domino. Like the house fell over the dominoes, and all the dominoes are got like. Let's just start making trades, guys. Let's trade whoever. Did the Celtics want to trade Tatum? Hey, let's open that back up. You want to trade Tatum again? If you have any questions about your best player, the guy who's going to lead your franchise, now's the time because it won't look as bad as this one. You want to like at any like again, and I'll circle back to my intro that listen, the Bulls. They blew it up for the Bulls. They blew it up for the Kings. They blew it up for the Hawks. How many years have the Celtics weathered storms of telling them to blow it up? The Mavs blew it up before all of them. Let this inspire many.
With arguably the more talented
Let
player in
let
all of them.
cha- let chaos begin. Let's
Let
see it
chaos
happen.
reign. Like watch it, build it up, and and then we'll just watch it burn. You know, like that. Like it is just crazy. Like I mean, I don't get into the conspiracies. I'm not that kind of person, but like, I can't help but think that there is an element of something about it. There's something deeper going on here. There has to be, and there has to be something
Deep
deeper
state.
going on
Deep
here.
state is involved in this. Deep
Yeah,
state is
like
involved in this.
something real or something that no one wants to believe and no one can probably put their finger on is going on here. But damn, you gotta love it. This is why we love sports. Like a move like this is like the biggest trade we have seen. Guess is this like the
Ever.
biggest trade ever since
Ever.
like Babe
Ever.
Ruth to the Red
Oh.
Sox? Like it's got to be
Oh.
like as deep cut as that. Like that was obviously didn't get the glam because it was back in the 50s or whatever. But like it's like that sort of level. Like this could prove to be absolutely insane. If Luka Doncic bucks up his ideas, gets in the shape he's hopefully capable of, like he could be multi-time MVP, multi-time champion with the Los Angeles Lakers, and they could be right back on top in terms of NBA titles before too long. Like that's talent that he has. And just thinking future, yes, Lakers don't really have too many assets.
Yeah.
Two guys that I'm looking at right now. This is where my mind went very quickly. 2026 free agency right now. Jaren Jackson Jr. right at this
Mm.
moment will be an unrestricted free agent. He is their next golden ticket. I think that if whatever way they can be whispering in his ear right now, this is just hypothetical. This could change in the next couple of weeks. He could sign an extension with Grizzlies. I'm not saying Jaren Jackson Jr. will want to leave the Grizzlies or he wants out, that he's not going to sign a new deal. But if I'm the Lakers, he's a guy that I absolutely have my eyes on in 2026. He'll only be 27. That will be a pretty good running mate for Luka Doncic in the next era of the Lakers.
You're trying to put stop it. Stop it. The
Just
Grizzlies are
saying.
not
Just
I don't think
saying.
he's leaving the Grizzlies, but it's one thing to think about. I mean if you just pull up 2026, you know who's always been rumored to go to LA, who's available? Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine's there. Um, I mean you go up and down this list, the amount of players that are available that would sign up to play with this guy. I mean, you put shooters out there, Duncan Robinson's out there. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, Mikal Bridges is there.
Just get all the 3 and D, all the most legit 3 and D guys you can find. Like,
Wow.
I mean, if they could somehow swing a move right now to get Cam Johnson in, I don't know how the hell they do it, but he would be a nice guy to have as part of their rotation moving forward alongside Luka Doncic. I think he'd be a good fit with Luka. Not to say he's the greatest 3 and D guy ever, but he's a good shooter. He's a pretty solid defender. Like he'd be a good fit in a Luka Doncic led team. I don't know what if they had the assets to really swing that sort of move, but that's something that I think the Lakers, if they can swing that move now, that'd be pretty good. Not for
Man.
now, not for with LeBron, but for the future.
Well, that there will be plenty of time to talk about that for years, and I think it will take that amount of time for them to figure out their next iteration. In terms of real basketball, I'm excited to watch the Mavs. I'm excited to see how that defense grows. I'm excited for them to really put their money where their mouth is and commit to that end of the floor and try to win a championship with that identity. They've clearly made their statement there. And I I'm Luka just became a the bad guy now without
Yeah.
his own choice.
Yeah,
He's going to be
without like just he was made the bad guy. The Mavs have made Luka the bad guy.
in the purple and gold. He now represents the evil empire, and he went from the golden boy, Luka Magic, to now the new face of the Los Angeles Lakers, and he'll bring dread to the West for a decade.
And now, no matter how much success he will have, it'll be held against him that he didn't do it in Dallas. And I'm already looking forward to tomorrow. First take will be on, and this will somehow turn into a conversation about LeBron James and Michael Jordan. That's where this will lead to somehow, some way. It'll get back to that.
Michael Jordan never asked for anything
Yeah,
in Washington.
even though LeBron had no clue this trade was happening, he found out about dinner last night. It'll still be his fault. He'll be the one that orchestrated it all. Like this genuinely feels like there's not much that's above LeBron's head, but I actually do believe for the first time that this moment actually was above his pay grade and he was not clued into this deal happening. I stand by that. I know I'm a LeBron ultra and I'll probably say that about stuff that was very clearly on him. But this moment right now, I fully believe that he was completely in the dark over a move like this.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you believe him. I'm sure you do. I know you do.
You're saying you don't feel the same way? No. Yeah.
No, I don't think he did. I think him and Anthony Davis are close, and that he couldn't have done that. But yeah, I do hope he stays. I do hope that this is a fresh start for Luka and that he has the mentorship, and that's the most important piece for me. I am a huge Luka fan, but as a huge supporter of Luka, I'm also a huge criticizer of the things that he's not done right in his career because I think he could be one of the greatest of all time.
Yep.
He's one of the
No, that's
one of the brightest minds in basketball, one of the most exciting players to watch. And when he locks in, he can be the best player in the league. He can be the best player in the world he can be one of the best players of all time, and he just needs the support and the growth to do that. And with JJ, with LeBron, hopefully that starts to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got like the Lakers are going to give him everything now. He is everything to the Lakers. He is right. He is instantly the face of the Lakers, even though LeBron's still there. He is instantly the face. They're going to do all they can to put him in the best position to be the best player in the world. He just has to be willing to take that. Let's not forget, yeah, they get paid a lot of money, but part of their payment is to be in elite shape, be in the best shape possible. So Luka's got to start taking that seriously. He does that. There's no stopping him.
Agreed. Agreed.
Facts only. And that's gonna do it. I mean, wow. Just wow. Glad we were able to hop on and talk. This is just the craziest trade we have ever seen. Maybe the craziest trade we will ever see. Who cares about De'Aaron Fox? Who cares about Jimmy Butler? This is way more important right now. But thanks all of you for sticking with us. Let us know what you guys think about this trade. Is this a complete fuck up for the Mavericks? Have the Lakers just struck gold once again? We will soon find out. But that's going to do it for now. Peace out, guys.
Later.